Hello and welcome to the Echo of Connections podcast with your co-hosts, me, Gabe Hansen, and my mother, Dawn Hansen.
Hello, and we welcome to our studio, our living room.
Yeah.
Our two guests. This is our first time having a husband and wife. So we have Tanner Bazer, who is an officer that I work with, and his wife, Mandy Bazer. They're both here today. Welcome.
Welcome. Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Excited to have you guys.
I think you might just want to get a little closer to the mic.
Yeah, you gotta like shove it
Me
in.
too.
Yeah. Shove it right in there.
I think, yeah.
There you
I'll
go.
just sit up taller.
So Tanner, I was trying to remember how long have I worked with you? Because I remember when you were a baby cop.
It'll be 7 years next month.
7 years. Wow. In
Wow.
July. Wow. Yeah. And when you came to the police department, you'd come from?
I worked full time for the Army National Guard.
And how long were you in the Army?
8 years.
Oh, wow. So
Oh,
right
wow.
out of high school?
Yep.
Yep. Because you grew up in a small town.
Yeah,
In
Eastern Oregon.
Eastern, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And when you got out of the Army, did you know you wanted to be a cop?
Yeah, I knew before I went in.
Oh.
I actually enlisted as an MP
Oh.
just to start trying to build a resume to eventually work my way there. They'll let you be a cop when you're 18, and where in Oregon you have to wait until you're 21. So
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did you meet Mandy?
actually in the military, I'll
Yeah.
let her tell that story.
Yes, so we both were in the military at the same time. I was his superior.
Oh.
Oh.
I was his boss. That
See,
did not
that
go
stays
over
this-
well.
Oh.
So yeah, we met there, and I told him a hunting story, and he got little heart emoji eyes after that. And it's been just the two of us ever since.
Oh, so what was your hunting story?
I just told him I went hunting, and I got my buck, and I needed my dad to come save me because I left my lights on my Jeep
Oh, okay.
and killed my battery, and so he needed to come get me. But
That's what started it. So are you in the MP also? Were you, okay, so what rank, does that make you like a sergeant over him, or how does that work?
no, I worked full time for the military also, and I was a specialist, but I was an MP, and I also worked in a supply setting.
Oh, okay.
So that's like a sergeant position. So I had the specialist rank, but I had powers of a sergeant.
Oh,
And so they had to listen to me, except for this one's really sassy. So
even then?
Yeah.
Probably worse then.
Yeah, so with it being in the guard, we would just do the MP function 1 week in a month and then the 2 weeks out of the year.
Oh,
But
okay.
we both had our full-time jobs. So she was supply full-time, and then I worked for a place called the Joint Operations Center.
Oh, okay.
And so we had kind of two worlds that we lived in, and then she was already to the unit by the time I got there. So she was a specialist when I was a little baby private. And so
That's where it started, the
Yeah.
hunting story. I
Yeah.
can picture, because Bazer's, Tanner, I always call him Bazer, but Tanner always has been an avid hunter. You just got a bear.
Oh,
It's
wow.
huge. I've never seen a bear that big.
it is the biggest Oregon bear I've seen so far. So
That was,
it's
wow.
enormous.
I don't think I've even seen a bear here in Oregon.
Yeah, when we lived on the ranch, there was supposed to be one, and there was evidence of one, but we never saw it.
Yeah.
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 Well, we never went looking for it either, to be fair.
It is a bear. You wouldn't really want to go look for it.
We had dogs that would be like, no, don't go there. Don't go there.
Tanner's like, hey, a bear, I'm going to go hunt it. Okay.
I'm going to go stalk it, watch it.
Exactly.
So how many weekends would you say you go on your weekends? Go and hunt for something?
it's all season based.
Yeah.
So the season that just finished up is spring bear.
Mhm.
It started April 1st and goes until the end of May. Usually I don't get too proactive about it in April. May is usually the
Your
best
bigger
time to
one.
go. It kind of depends. I get antsy around the house, and it gives me a reason to go. So, and I think Mandy appreciates me getting out of the house every once in a while. So it just kind of varies. But once the hunting starts getting good, then it's usually every weekend. I'll go at least a day or
Yeah,
two.
to get your outdoor time and
Nice,
your
yeah.
connection.
Yeah.
He that's his like decompressed time too.
And you recognize that clearly.
Yes.
Yeah. And can you tell like when you're like,
Yes, I tell him you need to go hunting,
it's time?
or like you need to be outside doing something,
Mhm.
because you can tell like stressful weeks or days or something, and you're like, okay, this environment is not working for you, so leave, please. Like, I love you. Go hunt.
Oh wow,
Go
that's awesome.
hike something. I don't know, but
Go
like,
hike something.
he needs to just let go of that, and he comes back and he's fine, and that's what he needs. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a time where he wouldn't go when you said so, or you asked him? No.
You give me a reason to go in the woods, I'm going.
You're gone. Yeah. You don't. No. Twice.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Just checking.
No.
You have to be convinced, or
No, not
No.
at all.
I'm like, hey, you should. Okay, bye.
here's your hat. What's your ring? So what? That's interesting that you guys are obviously tuned into each other. Is there anything that you do for her? Like, do you see Mandy getting stressed at some point, or?
Sure. Yeah, for her, the big thing is giving her a break from the boys. We
Yeah.
have 2 wonderful boys, but they are boys and they're very rowdy. So for her, it's giving her a chance to go do that. Or with that being the case, we don't get a lot of alone time. So sometimes it's,
A
babysitter and yeah, which is actually kind of nice now that they're both in school and everything during the day.
Yeah.
And especially with me being a graveyard guy and stuff, it's kind of nice. We'll go do our lunch dates while they're in school, or go riding dirt bikes or something. That's her thing, is the dirt
my
bike stuff. So
that's cool.
That's good.
So
Yeah.
she hunts and rides dirt bikes. No wonder you had the heart emojis.
yeah.
Perfect match.
Right?
I like to be outside too.
Yeah, you must. If you're in where you guys live, it's great to be outside and away from
Yeah.
everybody.
Yep.
Yeah, middle of nowhere.
So you have a good story. I don't know if Tanner should kick it off with a pursuit, but because I don't remember all of the details. So I first
man.
met Mandy kind of on the
Yeah.
phone in a
Oh,
not so
okay,
great
yeah.
way that I'll let them share. Because Tanner, you started off, and then we can pick up in the middle.
So we actually had another pursuit at the same time that I was headed to go help search for the guy.
That's right, I forgot.
Yeah, and as I was doing that, red convertible Corvette blaring ZZ Top blew by me doing about, 130 on the highway. And so that piqued my interest more at the time. And so ended up getting in a chase with it, and it went out where I live, the direction out where I live. And so we went way out there, and our radios lose connection.
Yeah, right.
At a certain point, and
Which we knew was coming. Like, we knew we were going to
Yeah.
get to the zone where we wouldn't be able to hear them.
yeah, luckily they kind of like to run out that way, it seems like, so we get pretty familiar with
The
where
spots.
where we lose radio and whatnot. And so I lost radio, and then that's kind of where
So the sergeant was like, "Oh, you know what? Just go ahead and call him on his cell phone. And he tells me the cell phone number. So I quickly dial the phone number and I reach Mandy.
Yes,
And then what did I do? Because I think I panicked.
you did panic. So what happened was it was in the middle of the night, and
Yeah.
I had all the windows open because we don't have AC, and I was like, man, these crickets are really like matrixing like sirens. And I was like, no, wait, that's actual sirens. And I get a text message from one of his coworkers, and like, hey, your husband's going past your house. And I was like, oh, excitement, yay. And then my phone rings, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. So like run downstairs, and I'm like, hello. And Dawn's like, oh, sorry, wrong number. And like hangs up the phone.
It takes me like,
Nice.
yeah, I don't click on all cylinders what has just happened, because I try to get, then I get a different phone number for Tanner where I think I do reach you at
Yep.
that point, and I'm like, I think I just called your house. At some point, we have that piece of the conversation. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Oh my god! And then I realized that I just hung up on her, and that she probably heard the sirens. And I was in like, I don't know what to do. How do I fix this?
Well, what's funny is, so the guy ended up leaving the road and
Crashing.
he parked his car in a pile of blackberries, and so him and I were having this conversation while he was stuck in the blackberries, and I saw that you were trying to call me from dispatch. So I talked to you, and then I looked down, and I have a text from my wife that says, "Good job, babe." I just looked around. I was so confused because I didn't understand what the good job was for, or how she would know what I was doing. I thought maybe she could hear the sirens from the house, but there's however many other cops in the county that could be doing cop work out there. So
And they were all coming to you.
yeah, so I was super confused, but it all made sense once we got back to the station, the dust settled and everything.
You've got everybody telling their story, and you're like, oh, that's what happened.
Thank goodness the person who sent Mandy the text was also the one who said that Tanner had gotten the person, and that was all connected, because I was like, oh my, do I call her back and try to fix this or just leave it? And I'm like, I'm just gonna leave that where that is.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny though, because he gets SWAT pages.
Yeah.
I get the SWAT pages. The house phone is ringing. So I kind of thought that's what that was, like she dialed the wrong number, trying to be like, oh, which one's Tanner? And I was like, oh, okay. And I just ran back upstairs and got my cell phone and was waiting for the next text message.
I was like, note to self. I could just be like, hey, that's Dawn Dispatch. I was trying to reach the right number for Tanner, but I was in like, must reach him. Have not contact with him.
Well, and in all fairness too, like I actually play that recording a lot for my recruits, because the thing is when the recording that we have on that one shows all the other phone calls you guys were taking too.
Oh, okay.
And so it shows a lot of the behind the scenes. So in my world, right, like I talk to you, you talk to me, and it's very just black and white.
yeah.
But in the recording that we have, it shows all the other phone calls that you're fielding, from cahoots calls to whatever.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And so it totally makes sense that type of mistake could be made. I mean, it's
I didn't even take the second to be like, hey,
yeah,
this is the Bazer residence.
I wouldn't have either.
Would you like to upgrade your cable? I tried to play it off like, what was it? Dispatch. I don't know who that was.
It's funny,
I mean, it
though.
makes sense. You call him, you're like, not a man. So click.
Yeah.
I think I realized about the time the phone connected that it was their home phone. And I was like, wait, no, wrong. That's not. My communication skills stopped right there. I was like, oh, I can't redeem that.
I thought it was pretty funny.
It worked
Thank
out.
God you did, because there's other people who would be like, really? It's 10 in the morning. Why are you calling my house and hanging up on me?
It's fine.
Well, luckily she's a night owl too, so she stays up pretty late, so she was already up and everything
that's
anyways.
good
And
too.
That's why I was like, man, because I was watching TV and the crickets at our house are so loud. And that's why I was like, man, that's really weird. It sounds like sirens. And then
well, and the other part of that story is my best friend that lives out there. He's a trooper. I drive by his house to get to my house, and he had just got home from a wedding and was checking his mail that was on the road, and the car that I was chasing goes by, and then I went by. And so he knew about it before anything, and then she knew about it too. So it's just kind of weird how
Everybody at home knew.
yeah, it was like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, whatever time it was, and
Middle of
everyone
nowhere.
knew what I was doing. So.
Literally in the middle of nowhere. Yeah.
everybody's like, hey
Good
Tanner.
job, babe. I love that. The spies are everywhere.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, up that valley.
Yeah,
You
that
can-
echoes.
You can hear sirens
Yeah.
for miles.
Yeah.
When we lived at
Oh, man.
some ways from there where you guys are, we could hear it going, and you could be like,
Yeah.
oh, that one's going really fast. Or when you could hear the engine
Yeah,
bouncing off the hills, be like, oh, they're really getting at it.
yeah.
It's funny though, because I heard the sirens and then I heard what I think was the Corvette, because we have a straight stretch go, "Brom," and then you hear, wee, wee, "Brom," again. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
well, they're getting after it, I
They're
guess.
going after that one.
Yeah, he was definitely in a lot faster car than I was
Yeah.
in, but knowing the corners,
Yeah, you're like-
I made ground in the
Yeah.
corners, and
Some of those corners you cannot take fast.
Yeah.
Unless you know exactly where to hit
Yeah.
it. And, like, oh, the gravel's there and not there. And
Yeah.
That's probably how we ended up in pucker brush.
yeah,
The blackberries are
it's
good.
actually the corner I even said that was probably going to happen.
Oh,
if
yeah.
he
Don't you
kept-
say it on the radio?
Yeah, I said on the radio that if he keeps driving the way he is, there was a certain corner that was going to
Be the
introduce itself to him, and it did.
Which
so.
was really helpful, because when we couldn't get you on the radio, that's what we figured you were. But we were like, I don't know how I don't know how armed he is. I don't know how.
right.
We don't know why he's running at 130, whatever he was doing,
Yeah,
140. I don't know how fast he was going. Fast. He was going really fast. But at least it was 2 a.m.
yeah, and no traffic, and that's
Yeah.
the thing too is
Just dry
we
and
we
paving.
do it enough to know. I feel like our team is really good at doing things safely, and weighing the risk with the reward and stuff like that too.
Absolutely. We have a really good team,
Yeah.
and that's partly why I really wanted Tanner and Mandy to be here, because obviously you're part of the team in another way. You're part of our team. We don't get to have you in briefing or maybe in dispatch, but you're still part of the team. You get them to work and,
Right.
get them on the straight and narrow.
Yeah. The Stephanie Kahn book, like really goes into that spousal.
Yeah, I was just
thing,
reading
so-
that section. I don't know. I was going to show Mandy the book on resiliency and policing, and there's a section that is like specific to family. I was just reading that today. I'm like, it's really, I think, do a lot of the things she talks about automatically. At least that's what I guess. Like when you're like, hey, you need to go out in the woods. That's one of the things that she says is your spouse will always know when you're not doing good. Like if it's been a tough week. And
Right.
you already said, like, you can tell.
Right.
And then some of the things that she talked about, I'm pretty sure Tanner had said that you are one of those people who goes, hey, what's going on? Like, you're not going to let him get away with not
No.
being okay.
So Tanner and I are both type A personalities. Like when we're when we're arguing, it's you're telling me my issues, I'm telling you my issues, and then it's done. Like, okay, we're done fighting now. Whereas like, I feel like other relationships are like nip, 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 like not really getting to the root of the issue. And like, my parents are divorced when we got married. So I saw both of them kind of like bat around each other and not really get down to the issue. And that's where like resentment builds.
He's a witness.
Uh,
I think you're speaking my language.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
No.
It's truth.
I think you'll hopefully learn from your parents' relationships, right? Like,
Yeah. Clearly.
I hope I do the same with you guys. So.
I
It's
know,
just-
right? A successful relationship where you don't let it go
Right.
and you get to the bottom of
And
whatever.
sometimes
the
it is hard and you do have to like part ways because you're scaring the children and the dogs and the chickens and the closest neighbor can hear you screaming. But no, you really have to like buckle down and be like, you need to tell me, or you need to find somebody to talk to, because like this is not working for how our relationship functions. And like I said, type A, so we talk, and then okay, and we move on. We go have like Buffalo Wild Wings or something.
Go on a dirt bike ride. Or,
Right.
Yeah.
Go hunting. Or
So I usually Gabe asks this, but I was going to ask, what is there what would you consider like one of your hardest days?
What's your most
There
memorable
we
day
go.
on the job?
That's the way to ask, huh?
Oh, that's a loaded question.
Right? Dun, 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 dun. Mandy might know better than you.
I do, but I'll let him.
You'll see
pick.
what he picks.
I would say off the top of my head, it's kind of a tie, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
between as far as just most memorable, either the night we went up for the fires, because the first night
Mm-hmm.
it kicked off, I was one of the ones that went up and were evacing people and were on the fire line, or it'd probably be the night of the South 67th protest where we, I've never experienced that. And I remember being a baby cop, one of my coaches was like, make sure and have your gas mask and your helmet and stuff. And I remember sitting there thinking like, why? I'll never use this stuff, never. And I was wrong there. So.
2020 was
Yeah.
quite the year. Both those things were in 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'd say most memorable, probably one of those two is just, and
Yeah.
I think is both because, after you get a couple years into it or something like that, you kind of, you always have stuff that surprises you, or, you learn to never say that you've seen it and done it. But the thing is like, they're all, it changes, but it's all overall kind of the same thing where, like, me being way out in the county with no radio service or anything, trying to get people out of their house with a fire. Like, I would have never guessed that being a city cop,
No.
Yeah.
and or with the, protests. So I think those two
Yeah.
are probably, I would say, the most memorable.
Yeah, and I would agree that those are sort of those outlier issues that I'm with you.
It's not the day to day.
No, it was I didn't think that. I've been there 28 years, and as of like today, I think, and I never anticipated that we would be sending you guys to help evacuate people and want to. Like we all wanted to.
Not like you're inside the city as well. You guys were
they were
sent
way out
pretty
there.
far out.
How far? You're like 20, 30 miles.
We went all the way. The night we were evacing, we went up past Leeburg.
Right.
To
where the fire line stopped you.
Yeah, we were at the fire line, and the thing is too is I'm not super familiar. Like I know I take that highway to go out east and go home, but I've never
tootled up every side road.
Yeah.
There's
gotten
like
off the
trailer
road.
parks out there, and I mean all kinds of stuff, and
then bridges to the other sections, and
and it was in the environment that night. That was what's most memorable to me, because you couldn't see. They bakered me up with another guy, and you would be standing 3 feet from each other and you couldn't see each other through the smoke and all that stuff.
Does sound seem different to you as well?
Yeah, it was a little different. And honestly, the thing that probably stands out the most is I kind of lost track of time. I don't remember what time I got sent up there, but it was I remember by the time I looked at my watch, it should have been daylight out, and I didn't even know it was daylight
because
it was so dark.
Right.
And that that really threw me kind of for a loop, because you'd think at least the sunlight would be able to somewhat get through there. And then I think my situation was a little bit more unique, because I spent all night, and I don't remember how many hours of overtime I worked, but by the time I got home, I went, took a shower first thing, hopped in bed, and 30 minutes later we had to evac from our house. And so it was just I think it was like almost 3 days without sleep.
Oh my gosh.
Holy shit.
So how close did it get to your house?
I think as the crow flies, I think the last number I heard was like 2 or 2.5 miles, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
Yeah.
And that wind shift, at least that first night, 2 miles seemed like nothing.
Wildfires move
with that. So
fast.
Back in before 2020, a red flag warning, I was like, whatever, who cares? So it's dry, so there's some wind, blah, blah, blah. Now I have a whole new level of respect and a little bit of like, oh dear God, it's a red flag day. I mean, that happened last summer, and I was a little like, okay, well, we're going to be paying attention to the call screen a little differently. We're going to look at who knows how to use a chainsaw, who has, because that was super handy, the guys that knew how to use chainsaws. And
yeah, and that was kind of a nice thing too, because they sent Bronson and
I picked you guys. I should have picked somebody else. I didn't pick. I was like, oh, that was my bad.
No, I mean, honestly, that was good though, because both of us knew how to run saws. We were both kind of, for lack of a better term, rednecks in a sense.
Yeah, and I knew you guys could do no problem. I actually was like, and I knew you knew sort of the area, and that nothing in the woods would really startle you guys. Is kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And and we had to find saws for them at the time.
We stole them from the fire department.
I called Public Works first, and they're like, no, ours are all dull. And I'm like, what do you mean all? Yeah, right. I'm like,
hopefully from use.
It was
like
from
of
use.
That fire, like
I think so, because there had been wind and they knocked out some power, and I know they'd been doing some like neighborhood cleanup, but they have I think they have more chainsaws now, but at the time I was shocked. So when I called the fire department out east, I was like, hey, any chance we could get your chainsaws? And the guy was like, what? We're thinking outside the box now. Okay, so help me out here. So I sort of had to sell it.
Yeah, we got there, and they were kind of doing the whole, okay, this button, you do this, and we're like, yeah, put it in there, let's go. We got stuff to do.
Do you have extra? Do you have the 2-cycle? Where is it? Throw it in there.
Exactly.
Yeah, chainsaws aren't complicated.
No, but some people, I mean, if you've never used a chainsaw, the 2-cycle and the if it's the fancy full start.
When you're cutting things, you don't realize like the kickback or like the movements that chainsaws have.
Or binding up a blade or something too, and then you're out, because we were going down roads and stuff and that were clear, and then you'd turn around and try to come back, and then there would be trees down or something like that.
And that's partly why I was like, oh, we can't send them up there without saws, is because the state trooper and the fire truck had gotten stuck behind the fire line and did not have chainsaws. I'm like, oh, we can't send anybody up there without a chainsaw. You'll be stuck. And we kept getting, but there was like a miracle kind of day too, because by sending you guys, it just felt like we were doing the right thing and trying to do the very best we could for everybody. And that, we couldn't really reach you guys by radio all the time, but the messaging systems worked, and we could kind of track you on the AVL and know where you guys were at, and then see the 911 calls coming in and be like, I don't know what's going on, but the fire is barreling down this road apparently. So that felt really good. But then I didn't realize when you went home, you were 30 minutes later.
Yeah.
It was crazy that morning because I woke up and the whole sky at our place was black. And I was like, okay, we're going to start packing.
Oh, you already knew.
Already like taking baby photos, their marriage certificate, our wedding pictures, like all of the important documents, and like put them in a box. And then I told my boys, I was like, okay, because they need something to do because they're terrified.
Yeah.
We need to pack bags because we're going to go probably camping in the trailer we just bought.
Oh, yeah.
And let's make it fun. I was trying to make it fun for them.
Yeah.
They're like, but like fire is falling from the sky. Don't worry about it. It's fine. We're just pack our bags, grab your favorite stuffies or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
whatever your favorite toys are.
let's go. So Tanner gets home and I was like, we already got like the be prepared, the level 2.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well, I'm just gonna lay down for a minute because he's like wiped. And I was like, yeah, totally. It's been up for more than a day now.
Yeah, because he'd started to work the day before at 4 in the morning?
4 p.m.
4 p.m.
Yeah.
And it was home at noon. Okay, sorry. Pick up.
And, I was like, okay, so go do what you have to do. And it wasn't even 30 minutes. And they were calling us, evacuate
sucks.
now.
Go.
And what's funny is we have 2 goats.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
And we had a dog carrier. And we stuffed 2 goats in a dog carrier. They're in the back. I was like, but my chickens. Tanner's like, no chicken.
No chicken.
Just let them loose, they'll fly away. I was like,
Fried chicken.
fried chicken.
My bad. That was probably wrong. Lord, I
No.
apologize.
What's crazy is in the middle of Eugene, I got the notice too. Be prepared to leave, and we're in the middle of Eugene. I was like, if I ever get the notice to evacuate, where are we gonna go?
Where did you guys have an idea where to go?
We kind of figured it out last minute. The problem is all of our closest friends live out there.
Right.
But luckily, Smith. She's one of my best friends, and her and Mandy know each other really well. And they didn't skip a beat. They were like, "Yeah, come park your trailer in front of our house." And,
Totally.
That's really
that saved us.
we're so thankful for
100%,
that.
Yeah.
Isn't it? I mean, it feels really good to be like part of a group that would do that for you and know that you would do that for them in a heartbeat. Like it's not even a question.
Well, we're a family.
Yeah.
And in
Yeah.
some ways we're kind of dysfunctional.
We
right?
are,
Like,
yeah.
like we may not go drinking beer with everybody and be best friends with everyone, but when
The chips are down.
someone
Yeah.
needs something, we're all there.
Yeah,
You know.
and whatever it takes, we'll make it happen.
Yeah.
And
That's what a dysfunctional family's for.
right? to bolster us up. I know one of the other things that you do really well is you work with kids who are in bad situations, and that you're one of those officers that we always turn to help for people who are in family distress. It seems like you have a real passion for helping, battered situations be better.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you're willing to talk about that.
Yeah. For me, every cop kind of has their thing, right? Like we have our overall umbrella that we work under, and then you have cops that like to work Deweys, or you have cops that like to work dope and stuff like that. And the 2 things I've always really liked to do is dope and domestic violence. A lot of times the cases that we do, a victim one week will be your suspect the next week, and that's part of it, and it is what it is. But with domestic violence, a lot of times that's where you get your true 100% victims and stuff like that. And we all have different life experience or things, and for me, helping those people that's what I truly enjoy to do, and especially kids, right? Because kids are so innocent all the way around. You don't get to pick your family,
Right.
well, your blood family at least, and the situation, you don't get to pick your situation. You can't really do anything to get out of it, right? Like when you turn 18, you can either use it as a crutch, or you can use it to motivate you and get away from it. But at a certain age, you're just kind of stuck in it, and it, the cards are dealt and you have no say in it. So being able to try to help people like that, I guess I don't know.
I've seen you do that.
Feels very rewarding.
I see that you've actually demonstrated that for other officers. So I see other people who then also do it too. So it's like a really great leadership role that you show and provide is that, I've seen it. And I have officers that were before you that picked up that mantle and decided that they wanted to make sure and take care of children. That makes me really proud to be a part of that team and to know, like, I'm going to send this officer to this call because this person is going to need your help, or if it's a call, like if we've been out there a couple of times and we haven't really gotten anywhere, I'll be like, oh, Bazer's working. Maybe we'll just wait until 10 more minutes and he's on. Perfect. So there's certain calls I sort of, not always, but I mean, when it works, it works. And it's awesome. And then you have other specialties as well, which are a little more fun, a little more boom boom-ish. Yeah. Are you allowed to talk about that? Or?
Yeah. So what part do you want me to go through?
Any of it. Like, how long have you, okay, so you're on the SWAT team.
Yep.
And how long have you been on the SWAT team?
Oh, shoot.
Right? It's always a trick question. I have a hard time with that one, too.
Wife says 4 to 5 years, so
Sounds
she's
good.
probably
yeah.
She's probably
I think
right.
you're right. Yeah. I vote with that.
Yeah, I'm SWAT. I'm also a field training officer.
Yeah.
Firearms instructor, and then recently part of SWAT. I'm trying to build an explosive breaching program for our department.
Excellent. Yeah. And how often do you get to go practice or make
SWAT
things blow up?
Yeah, so SWAT we train twice a month, and sometimes those two things go together because one's used for the other. And then at least one full 8 to 10 hour day a month we'll concentrate on just the explosive breaching. And
with overtime, how does that work out? Mandy's giving you the look.
Every month it's a cluster.
Yeah.
And actually for us it's kind of a new thing. Mandy, pretty much our entire relationship has been stay at home once she was out of the military, and that made it super simple.
Yeah.
I say it made it simple. It's probably harder on her because she got stuck with the responsibility a lot of the time. But she was kind of used to that because she got out of the military before I did. So, she's, hurry up and wait and stuff like that. She's used to that. And so that helped us a lot. But she actually just started working. So now we're trying to learn how to
that schedule.
Yeah, we're both trying to learn how that goes. But so that's a little bit of a challenge. And then, honestly, the hardest part is just trying to get time to go because of patrol staffing.
Yeah.
And so
you guys are so short staffed as well. Yeah.
Yeah. We're down
but those are things that you have to be efficient on, and they're important and they matter. So, luckily, our SWAT sergeant and stuff is doing really good and making sure that I'm getting to where I need to be and in the train hours that I need.
Another family of a different kind that, the specialty families, you get to build bonds there as well that make it, I think, better.
Yeah.
And, that builds a better family when you have better dynamics. And so what is it? How is it for you? How long have you been working? What is your new job?
I've only been working for like 3 months.
I know that you did baking because I was drooling over all these awesome. Yeah, I didn't even show him.
Come on.
I know they're beautiful. They're all like fancy.
Yeah, so I was doing it's called a cakery, and I just kind of put my business on Facebook. I was like, hey, if you need like specialty cakes or cookies or whatever, I'll do it. And then like orders just came in so fast. I actually recruited Tanner. It was like, how many cookies?
I don't know. Our brains worked a little bit different.
Yeah.
I'm more like a manufacturing line when it comes to stuff, and she's more kind of just
I have like
try to get it done and creative. And so
mine's just like, I'm gonna do this section now, and then this section, and then this section, and then kind of like marrying them together. Where Tanner's like, no, we like production line. Come on. I'm like, oh, this is way better.
The efficiency expert came in to help.
He did. I was like, I need help. I think I did like what were they? The cookie kits, and it was for inspiration of my kids. They love decorating cookies, and I thought I could make this into like a kit and sell it, and then other families would be able to they wouldn't have the mess.
Oh, yeah.
You have to like roll the dough and stamp the cookies and make the cookies and make the icing and put them in trays and stuff. It was just one thing, and my kids loved it, so I sold it. Well, I was not expecting it to explode like it did, and I think I ended up with like 600 cookies.
Oh my god.
And that was like 400 tubes of icing.
Wow.
And then I like on top of that it was sprinkles, like cups of sprinkles.
Oh my God.
And I was like in the kitchen drowning in like cookies. And I'm like, Tanner, help.
Well, and she was doing all this, and we live in a small log house,
Yeah.
small kitchen, normal, just
Normal oven.
normal oven.
Yeah.
And so
I had to go buy like
she doesn't give herself
industrial
enough credit
size.
when it comes to that. So
I had to buy industrial size cookie trays so I could fit more
Enough.
cookies in my oven.
Wow.
And,
So
yeah,
how long does it take to make that many cookies? My God, it blows my mind.
4 days
Yeah. That seems
Of,
very
like-
fast,
of
actually.
like nonstop get up in the morning at 8 and like
Stamp
cookies.
stamp.
And I was doing it not in an efficient way at all. I was like, oh, I'm going to do some bats, and here's some Frankenstein faces, and here's some pumpkins. And Tanner's like, no, just do all of your bats and then all of this. I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes more sense.
she's putting in some hours, though.
I
mean,
imagine.
there was some days where she was probably competing with me on hours, for sure. And
My
Wow.
God, and mixing and
yeah.
God, ugh.
you're on your feet the whole time. And
Yeah, and then that kind of brought in custom cake orders. And at the time too, I was doing my brother's wedding cake and our best friend's wedding cake,
oh
and
my
they
gosh.
were like tiered cakes. And we had a little malfunction with my brother's wedding cake. We put it on a seat that was not level, and
oh no.
it slid into the back of the seat. And I cried for a really long time and
Oh,
fixed it.
I imagine you were able to get it kind
I
of.
like made the front pretty and then just kind of put the back towards like a tree. And
There you go, outdoor wedding.
yeah, I'm like,
It's all part of
okay,
the outdoors.
it's all good. And they took pictures of it and looked beautiful. I'm like, oh, I
That-
guess that turned out, that wasn't a crisis really, but it was averted. So that's good.
Crisis averted.
But, yeah. And then I made a giant wedding cake for our best friend's wedding. It was like 100 people.
Oh my gosh.
And it was,
I don't even know how you would begin to do that.
it's fun.
You'd have to bake it as different pieces.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was like it was 14-inch bottom. It
Oh
was
wow.
4 of those. And then
Four.
4 of the 12, and then the smaller.
That is huge.
It's a huge
That
cake.
must have weighed a lot.
It did. I very mistakenly decided I was going to carry it across where it was going to be placed, and it just kept getting like like lower and lower and lower, and like our friends are like, "Come on, Mandy, you got this." They're like picking it up a little bit. Finally, it got to the table, and they were like, "Oh, she's not going to make it," and they just propped it up a little bit and like landed on the table, and I was like, "Okay, nobody touch this cake." But yeah, and I just went back to retail.
Is that better than baking 600 cookies? No. Tanner's over there. No. No, not better.
No,
No.
it's fun. Like it's a different
Kind of environment.
Yeah, and so I grew up around guns and ammo and hunting and fishing and like doing that stuff. And so the store I work at now that's what I do, and
Oh.
so it accesses a different part.
Yeah.
Go from baking to like gun parts and accessories. So it's a different, and like being a stay-at-home parent for 10 years
Wow.
has been challenging itself, and
Yeah.
you don't realize like how closed in you are, like isolated almost, if you don't have a good support system. And so this has been good to go back, because now I can talk to like other adults, not children. So it's funny because when they were really little, I was like, "Hey babe, do you want some cheeky nuggies?" And he's like, "Why are you talking like that?" I was like, "Because I don't talk to adults."
10 years. That's it. Wow.
It's a
I
long
really,
time.
I admire that, because I don't think I have that ability.
There are
What?
days where it's just
That ship
like,
has sailed.
Oh, yeah, thank God. Oh, wait.
"Do you want to babysit some kids?"
You can. They keep doing it. We'll take care of your dogs.
Okay, yeah. But no, it's just that part has been hard, is the scheduling now, because
Yeah.
it's his schedule and my schedule, and like working it out. And thank goodness I have, a boss and that understands that and is flexible.
Her boss is married to a deputy. So.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
they
Oh, yeah.
totally get it.
So
Yep.
she totally understands, like, there's a SWAT call out and
My-
I can't be at work. Like,
Yeah.
Or, they actually allow my kids to come in sometimes. And so I'll show up with a whole bunch of kids and they're like, yep, the TV's set up in the back. I'm like,
Oh,
cool,
that's
thanks.
awesome.
So
That's thoughtful. Yeah, I would often wish that we could do that at the station, that we had a spot that, we could,
You park the children.
and that you could have like another maybe older kid that's part of the group that could come and be like the, babysitter that we paid or whatever. We always thought that would be nice to have in, especially on graveyard shift. You're like, just
Right.
need some bunks for some kids to sleep.
Yeah. Well, and especially once you start getting some special assignments and stuff too, because you get the
Yeah.
schedule lined up. I found out just a couple days ago that I do firearms today. And
Oh.
it just
Yeah.
it's always something coming up of, hey, we got a new
Last
guy.
second.
Can you try to do this? Or the SWAT call always comes out at
The wrong
the
moment.
wrong
Oh,
time.
man.
You know.
does
Yeah.
it ever. The last one, besides this one, was when he was getting an award at U of O, and we were driving in, and he's like, yeah, I gotta go. And it's
Oh,
standing at the station with my other police wife friend. I'm like, cool, what do we do now? She's like, you want to go get dinner? I'm like, yeah, that sounds fun. But we ended up being shuttled to the award, and they're
Did
like, do you want to accept the award for your husband? I was like, no, I don't feel like, no, I didn't get the award. And so they're like, nope, go ahead,
So did you end up?
get up there. And
What was the award for?
It was the University of Oregon thing.
That's a good story.
Yeah, some
That's
guy.
why I'm like,
Basically, long story
Wasn't sure.
short, some guy went into the law library. They have cameras in there,
Mhm.
and he had a handgun and a bunch of extra ammo. And it was before they opened, and he was trying to take up fortified positions and was like setting up down hallways and pointing the gun down hallways and stuff like that. So they ended up calling for our canine guy, and then he got over there and he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna need more people." And so luckily there was 3 or 4 of us that were on SWAT working, and so we all buzzed over. County helped out, and then even with, I think we probably ended up with like 10 guys or so, and I think the building was either 3 or 4 stories, and it took
That's
us like
big.
3 hours to get to 2 floors.
wow.
And so it was a big area, and yeah, so
And searching that kind of an area for a guy is armed is a whole nother thing that the public, I don't know if they really, like, even as dispatchers, we're like, good heavens, what's taking so long, right?
as far as I can imagine, you'd be on edge the whole time.
yeah, and you are, and
And then I'm not sure what that feels like. So
well, and a lot of the calls we go to, you always have that potential, and you have to treat it as if there's that potential. But there's always going to be a difference of when, you're going to the same business that has had, 10 false alarms in the last 6 months compared to, no, there's video going to a police dispatch,
Yeah.
and they're saying there's a guy with a gun in the hallway,
Right.
and so, yeah, I mean, it definitely added to it and
Yeah.
and stuff. But it's just kind of a cluster, anyways. We needed a team of 50 to do that the right way, and,
Yeah.
and we just didn't have it. So
And did you guys end up finding him? Is that what happened?
U of O found him, so he ended up getting out of the building. They were
Ah.
trying to track him in the cameras, but they couldn't keep up with him. And he ended up going into like a dorm.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, he ended up going
Yeah.
into a dorm and holding a couple people at gunpoint and messing with them, and then eventually they got him. I don't know all the
rest of
facts.
the details?
Yeah, but
I do remember the gist of it, and I think one of the things that U of O was trying to give an award for is to thank people for coming out, because the family, our dysfunctional family, includes other agencies.
100%.
Whoever needs help, whether it's the U of O or Junction City or whatever the small town is, we're going to go help.
I
And
think Coburg showed up too.
I imagine they dispatched Coburg out of U of O, so that would make sense.
No, no. That's only because I was at the ceremony.
Oh, and you saw
and
the.
I got to see like all the agencies.
Oh,
on
there you
there.
go. So you got to see the.
It's like, oh wow, Coburg showed up.
Did they get to tell you the whole story as part of the award? Is that
They
part
did.
of it?
And I was like, at this point, he's like, oh yeah, I was just some guy in a building when he came home.
Yeah.
And then the award ceremony comes up, and I'm like, what the? This is not what he said.
This is not as you described it.
It's fine. It's fine.
I think part of it is we get kind of used to, like, it's just another day of going over and helping another agency,
Yeah.
find somebody, and you don't really think of it being that big of a deal. But then in the end, the people who are probably at gunpoint are like, thank God you showed up.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So as a married couple in this 7 years now in this environment, what would you say are some of the things that you've learned as being the wife, and what's been
Just giving him grace is, I think, the best word for that. Is I know, like, if he's had a really bad day, the last thing he wants from me is for him to be like, and the trash needs to be taken out, and also the grass is like 3 feet tall now around the property. Like, it's giving them grace, it's giving them a day to rest and recoup and go out in the forest if he needs to. And then also giving grace of, okay, you look like you're about to like jump off, our porch to get away from our children. Go get your nails done.
Oh, we
go
just go get
shopping.
your Oh yeah.
But that's for me. So it's just like recognizing what each other needs, and it took a minute.
Yeah.
It wasn't like an overnight, but I think what really helped was I was brought up in a military family, and I was in the military myself and was in environment he was in at work because I was also an MP. So I understand the mental draining that is to just be on all the time, to be alert, to have your head on a swivel, to make sure you make it home at the end of the day. And that, I think, helps because I understand. And that's my part.
I think the other thing that helps too is, we were together before I got hired. And so as I grew up as a cop, she also grew up as a cop wife. Instead of, relationships, I feel like would be harder if you've already been a cop for 7 years and then you bring someone who has none of that life experience into a relationship. I feel like that might make it tougher. Maybe
that'd be a lot harder. Yeah.
maybe I'm wrong there,
No,
but
I
I think her watching me grow up as a cop and stuff, and being through it from the beginning with me, I think that helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is there ever a time that you've worried, and I imagine you worry sometimes, and do you have a release for that, or what is your method for when you're like,
I think that's why I started baking.
no, I wondered. Yeah, that's fair.
Do lots of gardening. It's just kind of Tanner kind of put it in a good way is don't worry about it until you have to. So I tend to also compartmentalize his life too, because he does have a dangerous job. He gets called out for SWAT, and I don't know what the outcome is going to be because you're sending him to somebody's house who is dangerous and armed and mad.
Right.
And you're like, okay, bye, I love you, see you later. But if I sit and think about it and worry about it, all it's going to do is stress me out, stress my kids out. Not that I don't worry.
Right.
I do worry. I just kind of like, okay, we're going to put this worry in this box and we'll get to it eventually.
Right.
And then when he comes home and like, I don't have to worry or hold on to that. I just kind of like, okay, don't need to. Just kind of let it go.
Let it go.
But there are times where, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it, but the crazy guy with the bomb in Springfield.
The fireworks.
The fireworks.
Oh yeah.
I don't know this. I don't think.
I wasn't there for that.
I don't know where the case is at. So, but basically,
You can always cut it if it's not.
Guy was shooting illegal fireworks, like the big illegal fireworks at us and throwing them, and then he had blasting caps and a detonator, which at the time we didn't know what the device was. We just knew it was a device, and every time we would try to get close to take him into custody or something, he would try to blow it up, and it was just his movements and stuff, his trying,
crazy
moments. And anyways, we were going to his house, and there was some concern that maybe he had booby traps and stuff, because we were thinking maybe suicide by cop type of mentality, and so we didn't know what his apartment was going to be like or anything like that. So they ended up having the bomb squad go out there, and I wasn't going to tell her anything until after it was said and done with, because I don't want her to sit home and worry.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And
I met him in town. He was done with doing that, and I just met him because I was like, hey, I'm in town getting groceries. Do you want to just meet up really quick? And he's like, yeah, sure. And he was with our other friend. And he's like, wasn't this crazy this morning? Can you believe this guy? And I'm just looking at Tanner like, excuse me? And Tanner's like, maybe we should go over here and talk. And and her friend's like, oh, oops. Oops, my bad.
But by the time you knew about it, was it already done? No, you guys were getting ready to go.
I was getting ready to go because they were writing paper on his apartment.
Oh, I got you. So it was right in the middle. So it's just before the big dangerous part's going to start.
And I was like,
oh boy.
Cool. Okay, well, be safe. Please come home. We have really dark humor too.
Yes,
so like,
so
please
do
come
we.
home
Yeah.
one piece with all your
all your digits in place. Yeah.
You do have to have that kind of.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's just negative. And
Do you? I don't. Please forgive if this offends in any way, but I get the sense you guys have a strong faith too in something that a God or whatever you believe in. I'm not trying to put words in anybody's mouth, but is that something that you turn to also as a?
I do.
Yeah.
And like every time Tanner leaves for work, I don't know if he knows, but my kids and I will get together and we'll pray for him to have a safe night, and everybody who's in the department too. Because
makes me tear up.
well, it's hard, it's religious, but you're sending an angel out there to fight the worst things, and then they come back home. And that's like kind of like how I see it is they're like the shield, the protector, and you send them out there knowing that something bad could happen. And I think faith is a really big part of that, is pray for everybody to come home, and we pray for him to come home. And
I think it's faith in each other too.
Yeah.
Mandy and the boys are my rock.
Yeah.
And so there's nothing in the world that I won't do to get home to them. And so I think it's faith in each other, and I'm working on the other faith too. Mandy's been really good for me there and stuff, and it's just having something to believe in, and at the end of the day, it's that really the only promise I've ever made her is that I'll come home, and so it's important. Whatever has to happen for that to happen. So
that's one of those compartmentalizations for me, I think, and dispatchers in general, is that we don't often want to think about that. I mean, sure. I do in the more, theoretical sense, but on a day-to-day basis, I don't think of it often, but every once in a while there'll be a call where I'm like, okay, God, please. I'm just going to throw that out there. I can't think about it too long because I'll get too emotional, but I'll be like, come on, thank you. And then I'm on to the next thing. But it's not every call. There's be certain calls or kid calls. We're like, oh, please, let this turn out well for everybody.
Right.
So thank you for guys sharing. Is there any other great things you'd like to, what about your kids? What do they think about you being a cop and all of that stuff?
Barrett wants to be a police officer.
Does he?
Henry wants to be a monster truck driver.
Nice. Oh my God, I love that.
So wait, how old are your kids?
They're 10 and 8.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And the 8-year-old wants to be the monster truck driver. Love it.
I personally think he's going to be a lawyer or somewhere where you argue.
Okay.
A lot.
Why would you say that, Mom? What does he do, Mom?
He's so good at turning stuff around on you.
Oh, okay.
And you're like, wait, I just got bamboozled by an 8-year-old. What just happened?
He can articulate his way out of it.
He can. He's really good at it.
Where did he learn that, Tanner?
I don't know.
But you'll be like, Henry, don't get up on that. Or don't, I can't remember what I was telling him not to do the other day. He's like, well, I was doing it because I really need to grab a cup, and the only way to do it is to climb on the counter. And I was like, very well. Yeah, I can't argue with that.
That seems logical.
So I was like, so then instead of climbing on the counter, can you walk to your room and get the step stool? And he's like, yeah, okay. And I rest my case, goes and gets the step stool. And you're like,
Sad thing is we have to have the step stool for her and the kid.
I need my own
Is he
step
taller
stool.
than you now? Or?
No.
Oh,
Barrett's there.
almost. Yeah, 10.
Yeah, Barrett's there. So you guys can't see me, but I'm 4'11".
Is that officially the height?
Yeah. I didn't
okay.
even make it to 5 feet.
Your personality's big enough that I wasn't sure, you know. Some of my favorite people don't make it to 5 feet.
It's funny because Tanner and I are quite a stark.
Comparison.
Yes, because he's like 6 foot and I'm 4'11". So I'm like constantly like looking up at him.
We'll have to put you next to Gabe, who's 6'4".
Well, my recruit right now, he's 6'4".
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah,
so-
yeah.
It's hell.
Seeing him.
I hate being this tall.
Folding yourself into a patrol car, folding yourself out.
Yeah.
Does he
Oh.
hit his head in the patrol car a lot?
I haven't noticed the head, his knees, though. Like
Knees.
driving around. I
Yeah,
don't think
against the
Yeah,
dashboard.
the seat
Yeah.
Yeah.
does not go far enough back for him. So.
Oh.
I get in my friend has like a small car and
Which is funny to imagine.
it's every point of me is touching ceiling, the wall, the dashboard, the door. Like
I feel-
Nissan Sentras were not made for you.
I'm like I can't drive this because I'm sitting here like
Oh,
head
man.
at 45-degree angle. Like yeah, I can't drive this
Car
car.
crashed, you're dead.
Yeah,
I think that way too because like I sit like 3 inches away from the steering wheel.
Oh, right, because you drive a great big truck.
So I'm like, please don't go
Oh.
off. Please don't go off. That we got in a car accident just recently. And
Oh.
that was part of it was like Tanner's like very calmly, we're gonna get rear-ended. And I was like, I thought he was kidding. No, we totally got rear-ended. And I was like, he's calm. And I'm like, ooh, we're good. And the kids are like, ah, and the dogs are barking. And he's just like, everybody calm down. And he just like, he really did center us in that. But the whole time I'm like, I don't want to eat this airbag. So like sitting and I 10-step really hard. And that was really bad.
Oh, then you really got it.
Right.
Were you driving? And you
No, I was in the passenger
Oh.
seat, but
How did
We're-
you see it?
because we were trying to come home
Uh-huh.
after visiting family and just traffic. It was rush hour, and it all came to an abrupt halt. And so I
Oh.
instantly just started looking in the mirror because we
Yeah.
had to stop quickly. I was like,
No way.
getting
and,
rented.
yep, and sure enough, I saw a truck coming, and
do
he
remember
wasn't slowing down. So
He was so calm. He's just like, yep, we're going to get rear-ended. I was like, ha, whack.
Is this where we talk about how many crashes you've been in?
I did not mean to do that.
I'm an open book.
I wasn't sure if I should bring it
No,
up.
I've added some character into some patrol cars. So
That's right. Some character.
Oh, no.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Right when you were brand new.
Oh
yep.
my gosh, he called me that morning and he's like, well, I probably don't have a job anymore. And I was
I
like,
think I talked to you when you called in.
I've talked to you a couple of times about getting me off the ledge, but yeah.
He's like, it's really icy out here, and
Well,
my gosh.
I knew that in a couple years I was going to be a field training officer, so I need all those templates for the
Yes.
memos and
Yes.
stuff like that. So
Right.
it just makes life way easier because I can, anytime they do new guy stuff, I can be like, hey, I got a memo for that.
right.
So,
I feel like that's important to be able to tell the new people. I've made almost every mistake you
Right.
can make, so let me just. The best thing you can do is own it and move on to the next mistake you're gonna make, because
Yeah.
that's how it works.
yep. So no, we're human, and I've yet to meet a human that doesn't make some sort of mistake. So
Right, and
if you
usually
can-
the worst that we try to defend are like, I didn't make a mistake, the
Right.
worse it is. And
Yeah,
I
totally.
like to be around people who are like, no, I messed up.
yeah, 100%. I'll usually
Yeah.
be the first one to throw the joke out there. So.
Yes, right. To be
Yeah.
like, I crashed a couple times.
I feel like it's an inevitability
right?
as a
That you're
cop
going to make a mistake.
to get an accident. I mean,
Oh,
like, more
yeah,
specifically,
you're out on
like,
the
road
roads.
so much.
I'm like, have you worked with a cop that hasn't gotten in some kind of accident?
There's a few that have
Like their whole career?
that you know of.
no, actually, as I think of people who retired, there's not.
I'm like, I feel like that's just
No.
not possible.
It isn't.
If you work the full
Yeah.
length of the job, it's just not possible.
30-year cops.
Well, and
for
honestly,
sure.
most of them are like stupid, like
Yes.
a knee-high concrete wall that you can't see when you're backing up.
That's what I backed into.
right? Because, well, and we have the cages, we have all the gear, we have
Oh,
all
yeah.
that other stuff.
their
And,
visibility is like this. Like,
yeah, and when I first got hired, we didn't have the backup cameras.
Oh,
Those
it's
are
terrible.
life-changing.
Yeah, I got to back. I still backed into something with the back camera.
Yeah, but stuff happens, and honestly, I don't think any of mine have been.
terrible.
Well, I'm saying actual driving, fast for work or anything. I think all of them are like stupid.
Or
like
other people did something.
Yeah, backing into stuff, or
Yeah.
unless I'm purposely wrecking my car. I mean, there's times that we kind of do that,
To stop something worse from happening. Yeah.
So
Stop the threat. Boom.
Pit maneuvers and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Yep, you're gonna put dents in cars.
Right.
Yeah.
You guys drive 12 hours a day and ugh, yuck.
Yikes.
Which is why I was driving the car home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're like, I don't want to drive. I'm tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think I had to work that night too, so I was gonna.
Oh, yeah, you
I was
did.
gonna sleep. I was gonna sleep on the way over, and
Because I remember you coming in. Yeah. Oh gosh, it all comes back to me.
yeah.
I don't know if you guys have any other thoughts you wanted to share. Or I really appreciate you guys coming.
Yeah.
And taking time out of your day.
No,
And
this is out of our comfort zone, so it's kind of fun to.
you're our
kind of
first
fun to do.
couple.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Of
I think
course.
it really is helpful to hear, like a successful marriage that takes work. That it takes being willing to say the hard stuff and
is.
being honest with each
think-
other.
Maybe that's what's wrong. Not wrong, but like, it's really easy to give up nowadays. Be like, okay, this isn't working. I'm walking away. Where Tanner and I are like, no, we're gonna sit down and talk about this. But yeah, I don't want to give up on him, and he, I know, doesn't want to give up on me. So that also fortifies the relationship.
Yeah, a solid rock. You guys are
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course.
We
Thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
us.
Thanks for having us. I think what you're doing is great, because especially where you're covering different things, right? Like you having the person on that wrote the book, and
Oh, yeah, Dr.
like you're
Stephanie
covering
Cohen.
all sorts of different things and kind of giving a chance to look behind the scene type of deal. And I don't know.
That's the idea.
I think
Yeah.
I think it's great. So
Yeah, we're hoping that we, just what you guys, how you share what works for your family might help somebody else's family, and just that I'm sure there's somebody, I know I have given up at certain points in my relationships, and I look back on that and I see what you guys are doing, and I see like, oh yeah, that there's some missing pieces that can be filled in, and it's just great to have another path, another way to go.
Another thing that I just want to say
Yeah.
is it's okay for your spouse to have another person to talk to besides you.
Yeah.
Because like the stuff that Tanner goes to work, like the stuff he goes through, he sometimes doesn't want to tell me, and that's
Right.
okay. He wants to tell a friend who can relate better than me, or he doesn't want to scare me, and that's fine too.
Yeah.
You're like, I know I'm his rock, and I know like I center him and he centers me, but there's stuff that he doesn't want to share, and that needs to be okay too. You can't like pry, you can't dig, you can't be like, why won't you tell me? You're not telling me something, and like be resentful of that. Also, it's super important to let your person have another person to talk to and vent to, and maybe like understand that situation better. So I just want to put that out there
That's
too.
awesome. Yeah, because it's true that it takes a village, and we're not all things to all people all the time, and so we have to have different people just come in and support us.
I think kind of what she's hitting on too is my best friend Mark, the trooper, right? What I found is a lot of times it's kind of easier for me to just tell him the story, because we're just talking cop shop,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But if I know she's sitting right there listening, I'm kind of telling her without telling her, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And
And
so,
I'm like, wait, what?
yeah,
Absorbing.
yeah. And so that's one thing that, because I'm not the best about talking about stuff or whatever. It's just it's just the job, and go do it. And so, him and I talking cop shop when she's listening, that's kind of my way to tell her about
Things that might be
my
bugging you, or
work life.
you're
and-
like,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you for listening to Echo Connections. You can find us on Audible and on Amazon, Spotify, our YouTube channel, iTunes, and anywhere else you can find your favorite podcast. You can check out behind the scenes, bio of our guests, and blog entries on our website at echoconnections.com. Goodbye, and thank you for listening.